Hey guys, welcome back on the channel. PancakeSwap launched on Solana. I showed you that in one of my previous videos. So PancakeSwap's incentives should have come to an end today, but they kept on going. This is the top Solana farms, the highlighted ones at least for the upcoming week, but there's more than these ones. You can still find high yielding pools, at least when it comes to incentives, to yield farm on Solana using PancakeSwap. In this video, I'm going to show you my experience for the last week. So what can you expect? And also we'll be seeing if any of these pools might be worth it or not. So now the ending date for the farming incentives has been postponed. So this is a new cycle ending in the next week. So for the next 7 days, the weekly rewards are not as high as they were before, but it's still very much worth it. With the incentives on top of the fees, you could easily double the regular yield that you would be getting on Orca, on Radium, unless you are experiencing also incentives in those pools, in those dexes, right? But as far as I know, there's no incentives right now, at least on Orca. I have to double check on Radium, and there's not the need for you to expose yourself even to volatile assets. When I was searching through here on the list, I saw some stablecoin pairs that were actually having really strong incentives. For example, look at this one, PUSD, USDT. So this is a stablecoin pair, right? And there are cake incentives. Like I said, it's not as high as they were before. Before this type of stablecoin pair liquidity pools were having 30% incentives. I didn't mention them on my previous video, but if you saw the video and then looked for yield farming opportunities and you saw the stable coins, you would have seen that they were having really nice incentives. The same here for this one, USDC paired with EURC, 18% just in cake on top of the trading fees. Okay, so very much worth it. If you are someone very used to traditional finance and you don't like the volatility of the crypto markets, you gotta look out for these pairs. Stablecoin pairs, of course, go with reputable pairs, right? Don't just go into something just because it's a stablecoin pair. They might depeg. Let's see what else can we find here on the list. So let me keep on scrolling. So this one, USDS, USDC, 42% incentives in stablecoin pairs. Although the volume here is really low, and when you're looking at these pool fee tiers, 0.01%, which are the fee tiers usually applied to pools that have stablecoin assets. This is a much lower fee tier than usual, so you do need the volume to make up for it. And this is not the optimal ratio that you want to see, of course, volume under the TVL, but in this case, the cake incentives are there for a reason, right? Actually, let's search here for USDC, and now let's also add USDT. Let's see if there's a pair. Yeah, there's a pair like that. Let's sort here by TVL because most of these pools are empty right now. So there's a couple pools, but they're not being incentivized. So let's turn one of these off. Okay, so we got this one we already saw. Then there's Solana USDT, triple digit. So nothing else seems to be interesting here. So let's go with USDC instead and see what we can find with stable pairs having USDC. So there's this one with euros we already saw. There's this one with USDS, and that's it so far. So these meme coins pairs are still having very interesting incentives. So here Useless has over 900% farming incentives in cake. And by the way, if you haven't tried this, you just have to deposit it here on the pool and you'll automatically earn your cake incentives. It's a bit different than with the regular PancakeSwap pools on Ethereum, Ethereum Layer 2s, BNB, because in those you have to provide liquidity and then you have to stake your LP tokens in the farms. In this, you just need to deposit, you start earning yield also in cake. Pengu over 1000% rewards, although the rewards are still lower than in the past week, and they have been toning down like I said before. So in my first day I was yielding 10% a day, in my second day it was a bit lower, now I'm averaging something around 5%, a bit over 5% from across all the pools I've been depositing on. But you can also still have this exposure to blue chip assets on Solana, Sol with GLP, 200% incentives in cake. Also Jupe and Sol, the incentives here are a bit lower, but we're talking about blue chip assets, right? So I wouldn't shy away from that, right? If we look at the volume, there's not much difference right now. So the overall TVL, 59 million, the volume is below that, which is not optimal. As a liquidity provider, you always want the volume to be at least the same amount as a TVL, 1-to-1 ratio, if not higher. Of course, the best case scenario is higher. The higher it is, the more you will yield. But the incentives, it's like I keep telling you, they are the cherry on top of the cake, and they will make up for it, and they have been making up for it. Even in the case that your position loses value, and that's why if you're a complete beginner, I think the best case is for you to learn the risks and how to play with concentrated liquidity pools, with pools that are incentivizing you, because even if the value goes down and you go out of range on the downside, let's say your LP position loses 10% of the value overnight, likely with the incentives, you can break even, go out of the pool if that's something you feel too risky about, and the incentives will make up for it and allow you to break even. But in any case, still very good yields here, great incentives, even with blue chip asset pairs. Cake right now is under $3. So when I did previous videos, Cake was actually pumping above $3. And also the price of Cake will pretty much define the type of yield that you're getting, because you are actually getting also yield in Cake, right? So that's the incentives. So if Cake is valued at a higher price, your yield will be worth more, okay? But again, if you have some funds in liquidity pools on Solana, in other dexes, you might want to switch them up to PancakeSwap. Although likely you'll have lower volume, but the incentives will make up for it. And there's this couple pools. Actually, let me go back and see G2 Sol and Render Sol. So let's go back here. Let's find for G2. Okay, G2 Sol, huge incentives. The trade fees are very low, but the incentives are really huge. And the TVL is really low. So there's not a lot of competition. And also the thing with these really low TVL pools is that they will not be able to handle bigger trades. So they will not be as busy in generating you more fees as a pool with a TVL that has deeper liquidity, okay? So that's the downside. But again, that's why the incentives are there. So let's go ahead and see Render. Render is a good token. We're not talking about meme coins. So Solana paired with Render, 3% trade fees, but over 1,000% Cake rewards. As you can see, still very low TVL, very low volume. But hey, you can test it out, try it for yourself. You don't necessarily need to withdraw all of your liquidity if you have in some of these pairs on other dexes. Maybe withdraw a portion, 10%, deposit it here, the same ranges, and then just compare to see if it's yielding more and the fees do make up for it. So in my experience, they have been making up for it, but I'm also providing liquidity to a bit more riskier pairs. I showed you in my other video, so it's mostly Fartcoin, and then I open also this position on Pengu, which probably I will be closing on really soon. But so far, both of these positions have yielded around 5%, but they have not yet been on for a full day. This yield has been accrued for at around 16 hours. So I'm expecting something like 6, maybe 7% if I don't go out of range. And I've been very active adjusting my ranges. I've been checking this a couple times a day and sometimes adjusting the ranges a couple times a day because the incentives were just that good. But there's more farms other than these 5 here that they're highlighting. So go check them out. And you can find good yields here with PancakeSwap farms right now. I'll probably make another video on PancakeSwap farms, but for other chains. On the BNB chain, you still have really good pools with blue chip assets that are paying very high farming incentives throughout the year. So this is what I wanted to share with you guys, another update on PancakeSwap's farm spotlight for the upcoming week. Let me also know what are your favorite liquidity pairs that you are having the best results on. Some of you have been reaching out to me, sharing those results. So thanks for sharing all of that information, really appreciate it. That being said, guys, thank you for watching. If you enjoy this type of content, you know what to do, like and subscribe for more. Take care, keep exploring crypto, and I'll see you on the next one.